Hello, beloveds. Welcome to the Amanda Collins podcast. It's my honor to help you awaken to joy, be your greatest self, and live a life you love. I'm Amanda Collins. Each week, I'll share tips, practices, and rituals to help you feel the storehouse of joy inside. I'll answer your questions and talk with thought leaders from around the world about health, wealth, love, conscious living, and parenting. Are you ready to live your most fulfilled life? Hello, welcome to Awaken to Pleasure. I am so happy to have Gia George with us here today. Gia is a yoga and meditation teacher, singer, songwriter, sound healer, and spiritual creator. She loves teaching about the chakras and energy healing while empowering others to find their own soul power and inner magic. She creates inspiring videos on her YouTube channel, teaches live workshops, writes and records guided meditations, provides inspirational content to companies across the globe, and creates healing music to complement her creations. Her highest honor would be to empower others to follow the divine light of their own wise souls. So I am so delighted to have Gia with us here today. And in the show notes, I will list her meditation content and her music, her website, and everything. So welcome, Gia.
I am so excited to be here on the podcast.
Yay!
Amanda is a dear sister of mine, so anytime we get to connect, I'm just overjoyed.
Oh my goodness, I feel that way too. And I just can't wait to hear your story. I'd love to just start with, would you share with us your story just about what is taking you to this path of teaching about meditation and music, and just to this moment, what would you like to share with us as your story?
Yeah, I have a fun story. I like to tell it because it's full of like little mysteries and twists and turns. But I'll start with, I was raised mostly in Colorado, and I knew from a young age that I wanted to study fitness and health and the body. I always played sports, and I was really interested in health. And so I went to San Diego State and majored in kinesiology, which is fitness, nutrition, and health. And I didn't have a clear picture of where I was going with it at the time. I just knew I was really passionate about the body, science, health. And when I was in college here in San Diego, I discovered yoga and became really into it. I found a teacher that inspired me. And I remember thinking in one class, it clicked for me. I was like, I am meant to teach yoga. And so as I was a senior in college, I went to yoga teacher training. And by the time I graduated from college, I was also certified in yoga. But lo and behold, a big twist in the journey happened when I discovered that I was actually meant to create music. And I had been a singer for my whole life, but never considered it a career for me. I had just always seen it as something that was fun. I was in choirs and musicals here and there, but just never thought I would pursue it as a career. And after college, I met a producer who discovered my voice, wanted to make music with me. And I didn't know that I could even make music. I had only ever just sung other people's music. And as soon as I put pen to paper and tried writing a song, it just flowed through me effortlessly. And it opened up this whole new universe of possibility for me, where I realized in my heart and soul that I am meant to create music in this lifetime. And it just really changed everything for me. So I went from thinking, okay, I'm just going to teach yoga, and into, whoa, I meant to do this other path and purpose. So I moved to Los Angeles and went to music school, only to then start teaching yoga, so that everything was coming together for me. I was seeing how, yes, I'm supposed to do yoga, but I'm also doing music. And just about a year and a half ago, I came back to San Diego, and everything has just blossomed so beautifully, from teaching yoga here, getting into meditation and teaching. I created a YouTube channel where I make meditation videos, and yeah, so many awesome opportunities have blossomed here for me. I've been performing my music. I just released my debut album, and it's just been so beautiful to see all of the blessings come once I tapped into my heart and soul and just followed my purpose and following my joy, following my bliss.
That's so beautiful. And it's been amazing to really witness you do that, and just like
Mm,
following that golden thread, following your intuition. And it's like, does this make me happy? And if it makes me happy, I'm going to do it. And if it doesn't, I'm not going to do it, because, at the end of the day, that's what we need in the world, is people to just wake up and be in their joy and follow what's authentic versus staying in a job or a relationship that they're not happy,
absolutely. And yeah, and I think the key for me was that I never necessarily knew the plan. I never had a specific, clear path to follow, but I knew that if I stayed present and followed my heart and followed my pleasure in a way, then it would lead me to the next part of my journey where I could grow and expand and receive more and keep going forward. So even though I didn't have a clear plan of how it was all meant to pan out, I just kept following my heart, and every step of the way things unfolded.
And isn't that amazing? I kind of feel like, you and I are a lot of the time on these like parallel, journeys. And, it's like we listen to our heart, we we feel into what feels good. But then it's like we've got all these angels that are guiding us, like asking us for the next thing. And because we really choose to listen to all the signs, whether it be like a sign from source or just like a friend saying, hey, can we record music together? And then somebody else saying, hey, will you lead me through meditation? Hence, I mean, I think anything that I've ever done is somebody saying, when are you going to start a podcast? Or when are you going to lead us around Ireland? And it's just, I think, okay, does this feel good to me? And if you get a yes, just say yes when you mean to and no when you mean to, So
Yeah, I remember so clearly chatting with you when I was at a point. I had just moved back to San Diego, and I was a little bit stressed about making money because I just didn't know, like, what's my next career move? And I was kind of waiting for guidance from the universe. And I asked you, like, as an entrepreneur, like, how do you get the confidence and courage to just keep going, not knowing necessarily where your next income is coming from? And like, do you ever want to just get a regular job? And you said, well, sometimes I think about it, but I'm all heart. I just remember you saying, I'm all heart. And so that I'm going to go where my heart says to go. And honestly, that's where all the magic happens.
It's so true. It's so true. And, this series is all about awaken to pleasure. And it's like, I mean, to be in your presence, and just for everyone here now being in your presence, like you just vibrate at that energy of joy and pleasure. So I think one question I'd love to ask is, what is pleasure to you? Because I think it can mean so many different things to so many people. So what is pleasure to you, Gia?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that question ever since you invited me to be on this podcast. And because I haven't really ever directly sought out pleasure, but I think to me, what pleasure means and evokes in me is a feeling of freedom. Freedom is something I've always sought out, whether that's just freedom to express myself, freedom to do what I want with my time, freedom of space. I love to just like be alone, be creative. And of course, freedom to follow my heart and let my heart be my guide. So when I think about pleasure, I actually think what brings me the most pleasure is freedom and just feeling expansive and feeling able to be present with myself and in touch with the wisdom and guidance of my heart.
That's so beautiful. And again, I think the word freedom can have a unique, I suppose it's all about our experiences. And if you think about it, like some people might say, yeah, I earn a certain amount of money because I want freedom, and as long as you're not working every hour of the day to earn that money, to have that freedom, so I think it's like, it's always about just checking in. And it's like something that was really pleasurable for you for a long time, like truly authentically was, but then it just might shift that it no longer is. And it's like your energy or your interests or, it's just shifted. And so I think it's always about staying present to what is and just rechecking in. It's like,
Absolutely. I have a friend who has been working the same 9 to 5 for a long time, and she says she's feeling stuck. And I know that while we can feel stuck in the same routine, we can also expand our perspective into one of freedom without actually changing the circumstances. And sometimes we do need to change, get a new job or something, but we can also just open up, like you said, becoming present, open up our minds to the freedom that is present in every moment, which is the freedom to breathe, the freedom to follow the wisdom of the heart in terms of, how you share yourself with others, how you speak to others. So there are ways to just expand into freedom without necessarily making more physical space in your world.
that's beautiful. That's so true. And so what would you say are some of the practices, the tools, as we'd say in yoga, the sadhana, that you like integrate into your life as really supporting you to live a life of pleasure?
Well, one thing that I know about myself that helps me experience pleasure regularly is to have a lot of play in my life and to have a very active inner child. So this inner child spirit is the feeling of joy that I think gives me the most pleasure. And I think one of the funny examples I can think of that I use in my life is how I speak to myself, especially when I need compassion and comfort, when I'm trying to support myself. I will, in my head, refer to myself as monkey or like honey. I'll be like, it's okay, honey bear. And
Oh, I
like
love that.
yeah, like it's just a way of me tapping into my inner child spirit to say like, I love you and I support you and everything's going to be okay. And then I feel this like childlike spirit light up in me. And I, of course, love to like be silly and play around and be goofy, and just being childlike on a regular basis helps bring me so much pleasure and just lighten the mood and find the humor in things. And of course, treat myself with the most love and compassion.
I love that. And it's like you really do practice, you walk your talk because, it's even, I think, it's how you dress and how you express yourself and, how you giggle in every moment. And it's so important not to take ourselves too seriously or life too seriously or anything. And my children, of course, Neve and Patrick, are the most amazing reminders of that. It's like for
Mm-hmm.
them, there's nothing other than that. It's like, okay, yeah, we'll have to go to bed. Okay, we get that. We have to sleep. But they'll go to bed laughing and giggling. And, it's so powerful to just go running through the forest with them or just, play around. It's just because they are so present and so in their joy. I feel like children, animals, are just most connected to that. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. They're just so natural at experiencing pleasure because, like you said, they're very present, they're in the moment, and they follow their joy because they don't have these kind of paradigms in their head of what they should or shouldn't do. It's all heart. They're all heart. So,
Mm.
and we all have that within us. We all still have that childlike spirit. And once we activate it, I think everything gets brighter in life. Everything's a little more colorful. Everything's a little more expansive and free. And that can help us tap into our pleasure on a daily basis.
I love that. And it's like giving ourselves permission. And then everything's about creating a new, I suppose, a new pathway for yourself, a new habit, right? Because it's very easy to be really strict with yourself and I've got to do this when to work and I've got to always have this perfect and this is always going to be perfect. And that's a habit too. So you can just as easily create new habits and through meditations and just being in gratitude and playing and being in your joy, you create new pathways in the brain to allow yourself to be in more play. And I think that we innately have it as children, and then there may have been experiences throughout your childhood, throughout teenage years or whenever it may be, where you came away from that and trauma or whatever experiences that you had, and you forget about the joy. So I think that's why this is so important. What we're talking about is play is okay. Honor your inner child, just like letting go, being silly, dressing silly, I love that you call yourself monkey, you know, so.
Yes. And I think some of us might fear that, oh, if we became childlike again, we would lose our responsible nature. But the way I see it is we have multiple aspects of ourself. And while we can have a really active inner child, we can also have an adult, and they work together. We have an inner adult, we have an inner child, and when they're balanced, I think we find the most pleasure mixed with the ability to be, organized and on time. And it's good. That's why I call myself monkey, because it's really my inner adult referring to my inner child as monkey and saying, like, I love you and I'm protecting you. And so I just want to encourage everyone that if you fear that you'll just become this, like, child again, I still maintain the part of you that is wise, that has gone through this whole journey and gathered the perspective you have as an adult. And yet you can still love and nurture and embrace the childlike spirit.
That's beautiful. And thank you for that reminder and permission, you know? And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, it's not like that's ever going to change. It just makes you a more joyful, pleasurable, adult, right?
Exactly.
And I love practices. It could be, if you are in the middle of a big project that, it's like stresses come up and it's like, what, just stick on the music and just start dancing and singing. And, or for me, it's just like put the pen down, step away from the computer. And then because it's all about energy. So if you're sending an email or creating something from an energy that is far, the opposite to joy, right? Your frustration or sadness or anything like that, that all comes through energetically. So I have little practices as well that I love to do, whether it's just putting on the music and dancing or just like getting out in nature, playing with the kids, whatever that is, like have your tools, share
Absolutely.
some other practices that you do with us.
Well, one of my favorite things to do is to go for walks. And I love to do that at sunset or sunrise or really any time during the day. But those energies during sunset and sunrise are so powerful for us to connect to source. But because I'm so into music, I love to put my headphones on, put on my favorite tunes, and just walk around. And I live in San Diego where there's Balboa Park and the beach. And I love, or even just walking around the city, I love to just go and like look at clouds and listen to inspiring music and just free myself. And, getting the body moving really helps us work through stressful energy and release it so that we can tap back into the guidance of the heart. And walking is much like a meditation. It's a moving meditation. It gets our minds to be freed and expansive. And I have found I have gotten so much intuitive guidance just on a walk. Like songs have been written while I've been walking. And so that's one of my favorite ways. But yeah, I also love to dance and or even just like watch a funny movie if I need to tap into my sense of humor and lightness again.
Beautiful. Yeah, so movement's powerful. And I love that you mentioned the clouds because I love to just lay back in the grass and whether it's with Seth or the kids or just look up at the clouds and it's like, what do you see? And what do you see? And one that's been huge for me lately, it just brings me so much joy. We've got forests and mountains and fields all around us and
Mm-hmm.
there is a bounty of abundance from Mother Nature right now, just with like wildflowers, like foxgloves, and then just like all these amazing wild herbs and medicinal plants and everything. So that like is blissful for me. If I just get out and it's like I get lost with the fairies, so I
Mm-hmm.
think it's about getting lost a little bit and not just having to stay like so on, like I've got to get this done and this has to be done. And of course,
Exactly. Well, for me, like, movement is such an important part of my health and my spiritual practice. Since, I am a yoga teacher and I do yoga, but I also like to run and go to the gym. And what I've found is that while movement is great, sometimes I take myself too seriously when I am trying to work out for fitness. And so I have found that taking it down a notch and just walking as opposed to running helps me relax again and, tap back into the childlike spirit rather than kind of being my own drill sergeant and like pushing myself so hard to be fit and to be fast, And so just walking, slowing down a little bit really helps me relax and release that stress. And then I love to just notice what's around me. Like as I'm walking through town, I just look at all the faces of people around me, and it can be so inspiring to see other people and the lives they're living and the clothes they wear and the people they've become. And then at the same time, noticing nature, noticing the birds, noticing the clouds and the trees. And I just love to just go and be present. And for me, walking helps me slow down. And it's that perfect balance for me of just being playful, but also moving and expressing myself and following my heart.
That's beautiful. And I love that you say, you go out and walks and, you kind of like people watch and just, the experiences they're having. But even just exchanging a smile with somebody, and I think pleasure for me definitely is connection. So like this is blissful, having this time with you and getting to connect and talking about something so beautiful as pleasure and spirituality, and and then I feel like if we exchange a smile with somebody with just the intention of like, I see you, like, I love you. You might be a stranger walking by me on the street, but let's just exchange this energy. And then it's just like, it creates this ripple effect, and it has the ability on, you don't even know what level to shift somebody's day by just exchanging a smile, or, when it comes to connection, even just being with somebody that you love and, having tea with a girlfriend or, whatever it is. But connection, I just think it is a vital source of our survival, but only that, but of our pleasure.
Oh, absolutely. And you said it, that we don't even recognize, we don't even know how amazing the effects are of just putting a little bit of love in a smile, to somebody on the street. One thing I felt inspired to do is because I live in a city, I'll be walking on a bridge over a freeway. And I just remember one day feeling inspired to envision light, like a waterfall of light flowing from the bridge all the way across the freeway, so that every car that drove under that bridge would pass through this waterfall of light and be blessed. And now I love to do that every time I'm walking over a bridge, over a freeway. And it's just a way of putting a little bit of my pleasure, my loving energy out into the world. And honestly, I feel it coming back to me. I feel it coming back to me in blessings and in connections with other people and in feeling more fulfilled in my life. And, sharing my pleasure is a huge way of experiencing it even more. It comes back to me tenfold.
That's so beautiful. What a gorgeous practice. And,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's absolutely true. It's like service is a huge part of pleasure. I mean, I just, when you know that you've made a difference in somebody's life and just you get to give, because, it's all about that even energy flow of giving and receiving. Receiving is equally as important. But to be able to just give like that with just an open heart and, in just a beautiful, energetic way, or just, physically helping somebody, that absolutely brings so much joy and fulfillment into our lives.
Oh, yes. We receive so much when we give.
Mm-hmm. And you're such a beautiful example of that as well.
Thank you. You too.
And it is all about intention as well. Like in my morning meditation, um, it's like just send all this energy for world peace. Because and when I do that, send the intention for world peace, but may there also just be peace in the world, and may there be peace like in this beautiful village that I live in, and may there just be peace in my home and peace in my heart. So it's just like it just grows inward and outwards. And if we can just be that beacon, and with our thoughts and our actions and in who we are, then our intention, I think, ultimately is to inspire others to do the same.
Absolutely.
So, what are some other ways that you would say that because I love what you were sharing about the light over the bridge and the cars and everybody goes through, but what are other ways that you, I mean, I definitely think through your music that you support pleasure for people, because definitely when it comes to your music and your voice and everything, that's absolutely, but I'd love to hear from you.
Well, what's interesting is that for someone who does experience a lot of pleasure, I write music mostly about pain. And a lot of the meditations that I teach are about experiencing our pain. And so what I recognized is that we have this yin and yang balance between pain and pleasure. And we can't be all pleasure. We can't just expect to always have pleasure. In order to experience the greatest and deepest, most expansive pleasure, it's so important that we've also processed and felt our pain. And so I think that music is one of the most powerful ways that I have done that. Every time I write a song, it feels like therapy to me. It's how I process whatever experience I'm going through. And while the song comes out as being a bit sad, it also has this glimmer of hope, because I think the energy that I pour into it is that this is healing. This music is healing. And while I can express my pain through this song, now I have lightened myself. I can raise my vibration into that of pleasure again. But only because I've honored my pain, I've honored my experience. So I think that my music helps others experience their pain as well. I've had a lot of people tell me that my songs make them cry, which is honestly really touching to me. And I feel so honored to be able to help them tap into a deeper part of themselves where they can just honor their pain in order to then release whatever energy is stuck, and then come back to pleasure when the time is right. So, and then also in my meditations, I think it's about the same. I like to teach a lot about removing blockages in the chakras, and working through a negative mindset into one of positivity, and working through fear and coming back to trust in the heart. So for me, it's that yin and yang balance of, we only find pleasure when we have allowed pain.
I absolutely agree. And I think for somebody that was, feeling depressed or just not feeling completely in their pleasure, and then to be like, why am I in my pleasure? I need to be in my pleasure. That's not serving anybody, because the best way to get back to that energy of joy or pleasure is, as you said, to experience and process whatever needs to be processed. Like, you can't just push it down and ignore it, because it ends up coming out in some shape or form. And if we consciously choose to work through something, and I think it's like your music, and just being able to cry to a song, and then just like let all that energy flow to your body. And like, everybody's got, I think, different tools and ways. Journaling's really powerful. Some people that find it harder to cry and stuff, they watch sad movies, whatever it is. Sometimes it's easier for them to watch a movie about somebody else that allows them to tap into their tears, so it's like,
Right.
it's moving energy and releasing. So it's such a beautiful gift that your music and your voice has that ability to help people move through that dark side to come back into their light.
Yeah, because, it's okay if we're not joyful every day. I mean, obviously, that would be great if we could just be in a place of pleasure every day. But some days we wake up and we need to feel pain. We need to feel sadness. And on the journey of following the heart, which is, as I spoke about earlier, is how I feel freedom. That's how I follow my guidance, is through my heart. The heart not only experiences love, but also heartbreak. And the heart will experience sadness and sorrow at times. And it's so important that we honor that and not try to run from that or push that down, because that is the process of opening up to experiencing more pleasure, is to really honor the heart when it is sad, when it is full of sorrow. My mom is an author, and I just remembered something beautiful that she wrote about, that in order for the heart to experience unconditional love, it has to be broken open. So in the process of breaking the heart, which, entails sadness and sorrow and pain, we actually break it open to experience more love and more grace. And she made the analogy of a violin, which is a hollow instrument. It only makes music because it has been carved out, because it's been made hollow inside. So we can think of that with the heart. Like, the heart needs to be broken open through pain in order to experience even greater joy and pleasure and love. So I just think it's so important for us to honor those days where the heart needs to feel sad, and that's okay. And the sooner we allow that to be, the sooner we just channel that emotion through us and release it and come back to pleasure or joy or peace.
That's beautiful. And thank you. Again, it's just like, look, here's permission. You don't have to be, happy and joyful all the time. It's like you're allowed to be sad. You're allowed to feel frustration, anger, any of those things that you need to. And then I think the most important thing here is compassion and kindness for yourself. When you are
Oh,
feeling those
yes.
things and not beating, why am I feeling this way? I should be this. It's like, no, I'm just going to love myself no matter how I'm feeling today. And I'm just going to love myself. And then, that just like melts away things right there.
Yeah, and that brings us back to treating, ourselves like, or talking to our inner child, because, how would you speak to your own child if they were frustrated or sad or angry? You wouldn't just say, get over it. Like, why are you wallowing? Like, move on. You would say to your own child, what's wrong? Like, how can I love you better? Like, let me just hold you for a while. What can we do that would help you feel better? And so that's how we need to treat our own inner child when we're feeling pain, not to try to change it or judge ourselves, but to just give ourselves space, give ourselves unconditional love and comfort and support through that time.
That's so beautiful. So beautiful. Thank you. Like just for all these reminders and, just permission to just allow yourself to be in your joy, to be kind to yourself, to let your inner child come out. There's just so many gorgeous reminders and words of wisdom.
It's my pleasure.
So is there any really special sacred words that you'd like to leave us with today?
Well, you are enough and you're perfectly on time on your journey. And the greatest wisdom and guidance of all is within your own heart. So just take a breath and follow your heart today and honor yourself, because truly everything is going to work out beautifully and you know exactly what you need in order to support yourself and love yourself better. So please hear that voice today.
Thanks, beloveds, for joining us today. Please come over to themandacons.com to continue the conversation and get access to all my podcasts, blogs, and videos. Did you enjoy this podcast? If so, please subscribe to the Amanda Cons podcast on iTunes and leave us a 5-star review. Feel free to pass this podcast on to your friends. That helps us get incredible guests to share their secrets for an inspired and joyful life. If you want more great resources, come over to amandacons.com and join my mailing list for all my latest content. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, I'm sending love and joy your way.